In 2006, in a little cul-de-sac off Thompson Road, there in shambles was a tourist house that houses the skeletal remains of two women who lay undiscovered for years. National Environment Agency officers entered 17 Jalan Batai for a mosquito check, but to their horror, they found the remains of a woman, her skeleton to be exact, in a toilet. In September, a worker clearing rubble from the guest room found a skull and a thigh bone. As DNA could not be obtained from bone samples, the coroner's report stated that both belonged to elderly women, estimated to be from someone who died in their late 60s, early 70s. Foul play was also ruled out in both cases. The known residents of the house were sisters Pearl Tan and Ruby Tan, who would have been 81 and 68 when the bones were discovered. They were recluse, and they rarely left the house, if ever. Neither woman had been seen in over a decade, neighbours told the news report. The next-door neighbour, Madam Soon, was among those who reported the mosquitoes may be breeding in the Tan house to the NEA, leading to the grisly discovery in 2006. Madam Soon was reported saying, "I moved in shortly before and never met them." She also added that it never bothered her living next door to a deserted house. Madam Sumini Rahman, who lived in the street for over 50 years, said she'd never spoke to either of the two women, other than to say hello. She was quoted saying, "They lived with their mother, who was bedridden and died a long time ago." The sisters were described as friendly but not chatty by another neighbour. They also said they would smile and wave when they walked on the way to the shops. "I remember they spoke very well." According to Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore records, the house was owned by Miss Pearl Tan, who was a civil servant who worked in the administrative section of the National Library. Pearl's younger sister Ruby had suffered from schizophrenia and had an outpatient treatment history with the Institute of Mental Health from 1991. Her last known review was in 2002, but it appears that her battle with the illness began much earlier than that. Freddie Neo, a lawyer who lived next door to the Tans from 1958 to 1979, recalled that Ruby was the friendlier one. Though her schizophrenia became more severe over the years, he was quoted saying, "She would smile and talk to herself. Once, while standing outside the house, she told my mother that she wanted to beat her." Eventually, it got to the stage that Pearl told Ruby to stop mixing with the neighbours. The sisters were Peranakian and often spoke to each other in Malay. Their mother, a widow, died in 1970, and a funeral was held at their house. Mr. Neo also recalled that both sisters loved cats, and Ruby fed strays. Their house was shrouded in darkness, and the blinds were always drawn. Pearl would play the piano at odd hours, the same tune every night, Beethoven's Für Elise. It was kind of spooky, Neo had said. Eunice Tan, a cousin of the sister and retired school principal, had said, "The family once lived in a large house in Mountbatten," and was also quoted saying, "Their father, my mother's brother, was better off than us, but I don't know what he did." Then the Japanese came. It was quite a bad period. Madame Tan was not close to the sisters. However, she saw more of Pearl when, in her 60s, she started taking piano lessons from Madame Tan's brother-in-law. Eunice had said, then suddenly she stopped coming. Didn't say why. And later on, I read about the house. It was strange and sad. While the mysteries of the sisters' deaths may never be solved, one thing is clear. they led such an isolated existence that, when they died, the world failed to notice. "I suppose when you live on your own and don't mix with people, that's what becomes of you," said Madame Tan. "It's very sad. We could have done something if we had known it was so bad. But they didn't seek any companionship. They just kept to themselves. As the cause of death remains a mystery, and there is no known will or legal claimants of the property, it came under the purview of the Public Trustee's Office, the administrator of the estates of deceased persons. Because of its history, the house in Jalan Bataille drew a crowd of more than 100 at the auction held in Amara, Singapore. The opening price was 1.7 million, with the first bid at 1.72 million. 12 minutes and 21 bids later, the property was sold under the hammer for 2.23 million. My deepest condolences go out to the sisters that passed away in the house, and may they forever rest in peace. This story came to my attention from a subscriber, and I want to thank her for that. Thank you, Claire. I really do hope you've enjoyed the video, and to everybody else watching. I also want to thank Coag Music for allowing me to use his music for my videos. He does an amazing job. Link is in the description if you want to check out his work. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and the next video shall be coming soon. And remember, sleep tight.